If you've ever researched a financial product online, you've probably seen two completely opposite opinions. One person who says, this was the best financial decision I've ever made, and the very next person says, this was the biggest mistake of my life. So who's right? And honestly, they both might be right. And today I want to explain why, because once you understand what I'm about to break down for you, you're going to stop asking whether a financial product is good or bad, and you're going to start asking much better questions. And those better questions are going to lead to better outcomes every single time. Here's the idea that completely changed the way I think about money. Because the product is just the tool, and I want you to think about walking into a garage and you see a hammer, a screwdriver, a drill, a wrench, and someone asks you which is the best tool. And you would probably say it depends. It depends on what you're trying to build. A hammer isn't a bad tool just because it can't tighten a screw. It's just the wrong tool for that job. And financial products work the exact same way. The product doesn't really determine the outcome. The strategy determines the outcome. And there are 5 things that matter far more than the product itself. And those are the 5 things that I'm going to review with you here today. The first thing that we're going to start with is funding. Most people completely overlook this. And most people also assume that the only thing that matters is how much they contribute. But how a strategy is funded can change the entire long-term outcome. And here's 2 real examples. You have business owner A and business owner B. They both decide to save $20,000 a year. Same product, same company, same contribution goal on paper. But business owner A, they follow a consistent funding plan every single year, where business owner B starts strong, but skips a year, things get busy, contributes half the next year, stops a couple of years, and then starts again. And then when you fast forward 15 years later, business owner A says, this strategy has been incredible. Business owner B says, this never worked for me. Same company, same product, same goal, but completely different funding strategy. So consistency isn't just important, because depending on the strategy you're using, it can be just as important as the amount you're contributing. That's the part that most people never hear about before they get started. The second thing that matters is the design. And this is probably the most misunderstood concept that I see online. People assume that because 2 financial products have the same name, that they work exactly the same way, but they don't. And I want you to think about 2 families, each spending $800,000 building a home. They have the same materials, they have the same budget, they have everything on the supply list exactly identical. One home is designed for a retired couple, 1 story, wider hallways, accessibility built in. Other is designed for a family with 4 kids, multiple bedrooms, multiple floors, playrooms, open concept living. They have the same materials, completely different blueprints. So if someone asks which house is better, the question is better for who? Because the blueprint determines how the home actually functions for whichever family is moving in. And financial strategies work the exact same way. 2 people can own the same product from the same company, but one may be designed to maximize protection for a young family. Another is used to maximize long-term cash value. Another is to create liquidity for a business owner who needs capital for future opportunities. And the product didn't actually change, but the blueprint did. That's why comparing 2 financial products without understanding how they're designed is like comparing 2 homes without ever looking at the blueprint, because the design matters. The third thing that matters is purpose. And this is where I see people making one of the biggest mistakes, because they're not choosing the wrong product, but they're using the right product for the wrong purpose. If I had 2 clients walk into my office, the first is a new 35-year-old business owner who needs flexibility, and when opportunities come up, they want access to their capital when they need it. And then I have another business owner who's 45, planning to retire in the next 10 years, and their biggest concern is reliable income to protect their family and protect all of the money that they've already built. If I gave both of those people the exact same recommendation without understanding their goals, I'd be doing a disservice for one of them. Because financial planning shouldn't start with the product, it should always start with the purpose. So before any strategy, I want you to answer one question first. What am I trying to accomplish? Am I protecting my family? Am I creating tax-free retirement income? Am I building liquidity for future opportunities? Am I leaving something behind for my kids? Am I using this to purchase more real estate? There are all different goals, and those different goals require different strategies, even when the product is exactly the same. And the fourth thing that matters is time. And this is where people unintentionally judge a long-term strategy on a short-term timeline. Think about if someone was going to the gym and someone trained consistently for 3 weeks and they said, lifting weights doesn't work. We can both agree that they gave up too soon because building muscle takes consistency and it takes time, and building wealth is not much different. Some financial strategies are designed for short-term problems, but there's others that are intentionally built to create value over many years. So the mistake I see people making is they're evaluating a long-term strategy before it's had enough time to accomplish what it was designed to do in the first place. That doesn't mean every long-term strategy is automatically a good one, but it just means that every strategy should be evaluated based on the timeline it was actually designed for, not the timeline you wish it worked for. The fifth thing that matters is the advisor, and I'd argue that this influences almost everything on the list. Because imagine 2 chefs with the same ingredients and the same recipe. One creates a 5-star meal, the other burns dinner. The ingredients were not the problem, but the difference was the person preparing it. So you can have 2 advisors, they can recommend the exact same product, but the questions they ask, the way they structure the strategy, and the guidance they provide over time can lead to 2 completely different outcomes. One advisor spends time understanding the business, your family situation, your tax picture, your retirement goals, and your long-term vision before ever making a recommendation. And then you have another advisor that recommends the same product they recommend to everyone without ever asking what you're actually trying to build. So you have the same product, but a completely different experience. So that's why choosing a strategy isn't just about choosing the right product, it's about choosing someone who takes the time to actually understand what you're trying to accomplish before ever recommending what you need to do. So the best financial strategies aren't built around products, they're always built around people. So before making any financial decision, I want you to walk through these 5 questions. How is it funded? How is it designed? What purpose is it meant to serve? How much time does this strategy need to do its job? And who is helping build it? Because those 5 questions will tell you more than simply asking, is this a good product? Because products don't create outcomes, strategies create outcomes. And the product is just the tool. The strategy is what determines the result. And before you choose any tool, you need to know exactly what you're trying to build first. So if you're a business owner or a high earner wondering whether your current financial strategy is actually aligned with your goals, I created something called the Shift Wealth Assessment specifically for this. It's a complimentary call where we step back, we look at where you are right now, and we map out a strategy that's built around what you're actually trying to accomplish, not just around a product. So the link is in the description if that's something that sounds like you want to look into right now. If this video added value to you, then hit the subscribe button. Every week I'm breaking down wealth strategies and financial concepts very simply for you to understand without all of the jargon. And if you found value in this video, share this with a friend, a coworker, a family member that would also get value, and I will see you in the next video.